Good morning. I just want to say whoever's bright idea it was to put Trouble 1 and Trouble 2 on the stage is very bold. No, I'm just kidding. I'm so excited. Okay, today's scripture reading is from Jeremiah, chapter 29, verse 11. I will be reading from the New Revised Standard Version Bible. Please listen for these holy words. For surely I know the plans I have for you, says the Lord, plans for your welfare and not for harm, to give you a future with hope. A holy reading for the people of God.
All right, well, here we go. That thing ain't heavy. This isn't heavy. I don't know why you complain all the time. So again, I am not a preacher. But I'm married to one, and I stayed at a Holiday Inn Express last night, so I think I'm okay. Want to thank you again for the opportunity. Thank you for being better at children's games than my wife. Quick question. Man, there's a lot of people here. As we read this, who's dealt with a burden or anxiety and has turned to this scripture before? I feel like, yeah, show of hands, everybody, a lot of people. So first thing I did whenever we started talking about it, and she told me the sermon, or told me the verse we were going to use, and kind of the sermon title of Meaningless to Purpose. I beat my head up over this thing. I don't know how many times I just couldn't get it together. So what do? You go to Google. So Google AI popped up and told me, Google's words, Jeremiah 29:11 helps people by offering comfort and hope in difficult situations, reminding them that God has a plan for their lives even when they can't see it, and that his plans are intended to bring prosperity and a future filled with hope, no harm, essentially assuring them that God is in control despite their current circumstances. That sounds really good, and Google is wrong. So I wanted to go in and change everything and rename this sermon Context, 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 because if you just take 29:11, man, it sounds awesome. You know, when you graduate high school or you graduated college or seminary or whatever you graduated from, surely you got a card that says this verse on it. And you're like, man, such hope. This is awesome. And that's what I always thought. It's been a long time since I've sat down and read a verse and tried to dissect it. I grew up in the church, heard a sermon or two about prosperity and hope, and this was always the verse they talked about. But let's dive into the context because, like I said, Google's wrong. Jeremiah is conveying God's words that he does have a plan for his people, that he does not mean them harm, and he does have a future of hope. These words were written to people who had done some really, really, really bad things. 4 separate groups of people were exiled out of Jerusalem to Babylon for adultery, ideology of other gods, theft. I got a whole list here. It's pretty, ignoring the Sabbath rest year, lying, murder. I mean, they had done some pretty crappy things. So while God's telling them, yes, I have all this hope for you, you've done some pretty dumb stuff, some pretty bad stuff, and kind of like my mom would look at me and go, I've had enough. Worst thing she could ever do is wait till your father gets home and you got to sit there for 3 hours like, oh man, how bad am I going to get this one? The verse alone provides hope, but the preceding portions give the guidance. So I want to back up to Jeremiah 29:4-9. Since Roy just got to read one verse, I'm going to go through all of them. Jeremiah 29:4-9. Thus says the Lord of hosts, the God of Israel, to all the exiles whom I have sent into exile from Jerusalem to Babylon. And I want you to pay close attention right here. Build houses and live in them. Plant gardens and eat what they produce. Take wives and have sons and daughters. Take wives for your sons and give your daughters in marriage, that they may bear sons and daughters, multiply there and do not decrease. But seek the welfare of the city where I have sent you into exile, and pray to the Lord on its behalf, for in its welfare you will find your welfare. For thus says the Lord of hosts, the God of Israel, do not let the prophets and the diviners who are among you deceive you, and do not listen to your dreams that you dream. For it is a lie that they are prophesying to you in the name. I did not send them, says the Lord. And for the people who understand, I grew up around my grandparents, as Paul Harvey says. Now you know the rest of the story. So again, people have done wrong. They've committed crimes against one another. They've been sent away from their homes by God for not listening, for turning their back. I see there's some people here that went to fellowship with my family and I stole this one from Reverend Edlin Cowley. We're going to peel back the onion, and we don't have the fun little slide that he had. But God is instructing the exiles to go build a new city, grow gardens, and eat what's produced. Make families, grow the families, build the foundation. Basically, put in the hard work, grow something in your exile, in all the bad things that you've done. Stop and go build something better for the future. Problem is the more and more you keep reading and digging into it, it's very similar to when you turn on the news today, and I know we just came out of an election cycle, so you all fully understand how muddied and misinformation is out there that you can get. These people were getting a lot of that. There were people saying, oh, don't worry about it. God's going to let you come back in like a year. 2 tops. Don't worry about it. So everybody's, water off a duck's back. Not a big deal. We'll go away for a year or two. We'll do something. We'll come back. Kind of sounds familiar to what we deal with today. But again, let's go back to the context where Jeremiah's telling them it's going to be 70 years. It's not a year. It's not 2 years. Also want to dive back into the word "you" that's in the verse. In Western culture today, we are very individualistic. So if I walk up to you, Karen, and tell you, you think it's you. Old Testament writing, appreciate the Old Testament verse too. I mean, just, really beat yourself over the head with it. Old Testament writing is very collectivism. So when the writing says you, they're talking about all of the Israelites, is what Jeremiah is saying. So he's not speaking to a single person, he's speaking to the masses. His message is intended for collective, not individual. Go back to 4 through 9. I'm going to go Jeremiah 29:10. It says, when 70 years are completed for Babylon, I will come to you and fulfill my good promise to bring you back to this place. Historically, we know that 70 years was correct. So all of the misinformation of 1 year, 2 year is not correct. Gives full credit to what Jeremiah was saying and also what God was saying. Reading through this, it got me thinking about all these different stories and things I've done in my life, good and bad. But I'm going to tell you one that you may not believe. I was not the perfect child. Thank you. Exactly. And I know I've got family members back in North Carolina that are watching this going, no crap, really? So my senior year of high school, I am signed up for the Army National Guard. I'm going military. Didn't think about college, had applied to one school. I show up to school, it's like January, February, something like that. My girlfriend walks up to me and goes, I'm really smart. I wore pants with no pockets. I was like, I didn't know they made pants without pockets. So she goes, can you hold my keys for me? Absolutely. Put them in my pocket. Not much there. 5 hours that day, I am regular old high school Jonathan. Coming back from lunch, I'm just walking along, and I'm like, right there is Ronnie Lawson's locker. And I love Ron Lawson. I tried to break his back one time, like we were really good friends. Sounds like really good friends. But Ronnie and I were really good friends, and I was like, oh, man, I've got this pepper spray that's on her keychain. Pop that locker up and shoot that in there. It's a great idea. I thought it was going to be funny. Ronnie's going to walk up, oh, man, that stinks. Guess what I didn't know about construction? The HVAC intake was right above his locker. All of that got pulled up into the HVAC system, spread out through the whole AC system, heat at the time. So what does heat do to pepper spray? Yeah, really good. Dispersed throughout the whole classroom wing. We had the drama teacher, imagine that, drama teacher, she is just flailing on the ground like I had just committed the worst crime in the world. After an hour of trying to hide, they finally figure out it was me. I never said it wasn't me. I just didn't offer up the information that it was me. So they call my mother, and at the same time, SWAT team has come on, hazmats at the school, everybody's in the football stadium. They evacuated the whole school, and I'm like, man, that escalated quickly, well before Ron Burgundy knew what escalation was. So I'm sitting in the principal's office, and she goes, well, I have looked through every book in here, and I can't find anything that you've done that's criminal. And I was like, yeah, you're exactly right. She goes, but you are an idiot. Good point. Very good point. I look over at my mother, and she just got her head shaking. So I get 2 weeks off from school. This is awesome. They even told me that my younger sister was in school with me, and they said, just have Brandy come by. Poor girl. Just have her come by and get your work, and you can take it home. You can do it, and then just send it back with her the next day. Sounds like a great idea. So I get home, and my mother goes, you don't have 2 weeks. You're going to work for your grandpa. So my grandpa was a phenomenal man, very big lumbering man who loved digging ditches for some reason. So he owned a fence company. I get to go do that. First day I show up there at 6 a.m. and I am just, I'm just going to work. It's $5 an hour. If you spill a wheelbarrow full of concrete, it's $50. So I lost all my money that first day. He took all my money. I show up and he says, hey, you're riding with me today. Don't get in the work truck. Okay. So we stop by the convenience store. My papa gets Coca-Cola and a pack of Nabs. For you kids, that's peanut butter crackers. So he comes and he sits back in the truck. He eats that whole 8-pack of peanut butter cookies and washes it down with a Coke. And it was real quiet, and that's when he looked over at me, and it's become our family motto. If you're going to be dumb, you got to be tough. Out of all the things my grandfather gave me, he gave me, if you're going to be an idiot, accept what you've done. And got me thinking about all of the Israelites that were exiled to Babylon. Did some pretty dumb things. Accept it. I get home that afternoon, worked my butt off, lost all my money because I spilled 2 wheelbarrows full of concrete. It couldn't have been $50 for each wheelbarrow, but my grandpa, he didn't do math well. And I'm sitting there and I'm talking to my grandmother, and I was like, man, this is going to be a crappy 2 weeks. And she goes, well, my grandmother's as sweet as she can be. She just looked me right in the face and she goes, well, she's like, when you figure out what you're going to do with your life, let me know. And she got up and walked away, and I was like, wow, that is a kick. Thanks, Mama. Fast forward 5 or 6 years, graduate college, got the whole world ahead of me, and I lost my first job. Got fired. Only job I've ever been fired from. And I got home that afternoon, and I was just sitting in my room. My mom walked in, and she goes, what's wrong with you? And I was like, well, I got fired. And she goes, well, that's pretty dumb. What'd you do? And I was like, well, I don't know, but I got fired. And I'm just in all the feelings, just beating myself up. And I said, yeah, I don't have a purpose. Like, what am I going to do? I've got a college degree, and I got fired from a job where I basically just sold textiles to people. It wasn't that hard. And she goes, well, when you figure out what you're going to do, let me know. And I was like, I know you're her daughter, but really, 5 years later, you're telling me that y'all are not helping me at all, you know? Fast forward about 2 more years, sitting in a hospital room, and I'm holding a 6 pound, 6 ounce, that thing, right there. And I just remember I was like, man, is this it? You know, is this, I'm terrified. Like got this kid and like she hadn't even, I just know she's gonna poop a lot. Like there's not a whole lot, like I don't know what to do with her, you know? And the nurse walked up and she was like, can I take her? And I was like, where are you taking her? And she was like, well, we'll go clean her and do all this other. I was like, yeah, take her. And my grandmother walks up and she sat beside me and she said, well, now you know. Yeah, I do know. This is my purpose, you know. My purpose is to be a dad, to be a good man, to come out of the exile that I was in. I went to church a lot, used to go spend the night at my aunt and uncle's house on Saturday night just so I could go to church on Sunday. I loved it. But as I got older, I just kind of lost it. And yeah, she brought me back. I kind of found my life a little bit after that, kind of found my spiritual life. So as we talk about meaningless to purpose, like I said, you know, just one-track brain just could not get it together. And then it hit me about 2 weeks ago on my 3rd or 4th revision of what this was going to be. Just sitting in my office, and I don't know why it hit me. I remember back to the pastor I had growing up, James Hester. Old school Navy guy, first time I ever saw a preacher with a tattoo, and I was like, what? That can't be right. Like, you're not supposed to do that. Extremely Southern Baptist. But I'm going to read out because he used to say this all the time. God lives in the gray. You got to look past the color to see the message. It's not always black and white. You go into exiles in your life and then you come out of it, hopefully. But I just remember him telling me that, and it hit me the other day. You know, God's calling is for us to love one another as he loves us. If we can do things the same way that all of those people that were exiled to Babylon, yes, I'm putting you out here, it's going to suck. But what I want you to do is build something. Majority of those people at that time were never going to see the fruits of their labor 70 years from now. But what they did do, their kids and their grandkids, in 70 years, they all got brought back to Jerusalem. They were given the land that God promised them. I can't imagine standing there, someone saying, hey, I need you to do this, but she's going to be the one to benefit, or her kid, or her grandkid. Can we do that? Can we stop and not say, okay, well, it's me, it's the individual. Can we think in the collective? Is that possible? I struggle with it really bad. So it took me years to realize that holding that little 6 pound, 6 ounce baby changed my life that day. And there's things that I do every day that ended up with her, hopefully just the good. Don't pepper spray anybody's locker, okay? If you take anything from this today, don't pepper spray anybody's locker. But she's one day going to change the world in whatever way it may be. It may be her kids. I may not change the world. It's weird. somebody asked me in high school, what do you want to be? And I was like, I want to be a government official. Like, I'm going to be the mayor of this town. That didn't work out. I think once I pepper sprayed the locker, I realized nobody was going to vote for me, you know? It's like, all right, on to something different. I ran across something the other day. Viktor Frankl, I've never heard of him, but he wrote a book, Man's Search for Meaning. I can imagine. Whoa. Bet you never done that one, have you? I started looking through this book, and it's a lot of weird things in there, searching for meaning. But he had a quote in there that says, suffering in and of itself is meaningless. We give our suffering meaning by the way in which we respond to it. So, bet you didn't think I was going to bring Brian Kraft into this, but our boss at work, Brian Kraft, he has this lovely saying he likes to tell us is you can't always control your situation, but you can control your reaction to it. And that's what I was thinking of that is meaningless doesn't have to be suffering. It's suffering because we make it suffering. So I wrote down a couple questions here that I challenge you all to you won't walk out of here and find answers today, but how do you respond when you're in exile? How will you respond to someone around you in exile? I always go back to, I never remember it because I'm always the one that wants to yell at the person who cuts me off, like, dummy, get off. How many times I yell, get off the phone? And people are on their phone, and that bugs me. But, you know, the quote, be kind to the person beside you because you never know what kind of tornado they're in. And I paraphrase that a little bit. But I wrote those two questions down, and I've been thinking about them a lot over the past couple weeks. Then I also, not a big quote guy, but I heard one. I was driving to work Monday morning, and I don't remember what station I was listening to, but one of the guys made a comment. He said, "You'll never regret being kind." And that kind of hit me as I'm on 35, and it's really difficult to be kind. Even when there's nobody on the road, I'm yelling at construction workers and designers who aren't there because of how bad the road is. But again, you know, you never know if the person standing beside you in line at Starbucks is in exile. But a kind word or a smile or a gesture could potentially change somebody's world. I know it has for me. I've been in a really low spot, and somebody just happened to say something nice to me, and it turned me around even for just a couple more minutes. But if we take anything from Jeremiah 29:11, yes, it's a message of hope. But it's not just a message of hope that, hey, you graduated high school, you're going to go out in the world and be somebody. You can't get here from here without a whole bunch of mess in between. Nobody has it perfect, and you'll never be perfect. But if I can leave you with one thing today, smile. Just be happy. And I'm not asking you to fake it, but the minute you smile at somebody and they don't feel like smiling, it could change their life, and it could change your life. Just be kind. You'll never regret it.